It wasn't even close. Pacers dominate the Thunder in Game 6 of the NBA Finals and force a Game 7, the best two words in sports. How'd they do it? The little stuff, Haliburton fighting through it, and forget the past. It's time for a one-game winner-take-all. We got a lot to talk about on today's Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Hope you had a great week, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the headed to Game 7 of the NBA Finals, Indiana Pacers. As always, my name is Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes, and today I am in Gainbridge Fieldhouse for the final home game of the 2024-25 season. Just happened, and it was the Pacers using their home crowd, using their advantage today to play just an absolutely terrific basketball game, a ridiculous second quarter, highlight plays, guys fighting through injury, shots are going in, the Thunder turn it over like crazy, and the little things all go the Pacers' way. And for the first time in a while, a Game 7 in an NBA Finals, the Pacers are in it. No more questions about the biggest game in franchise history. It is coming on Sunday. Had the Pacers do it? The little things, Haliburton fighting through it, offense great, defense even better. So much to talk about today. And I want to talk about the same thing I talked about after Game 5, but in reverse. After that game, I wrote about it. I talked about it. The players talked about it. It was the little things. In fact, today's win dates back to Game 4. The Pacers drop that game, choke it away. They know it. They even were okay with me asking about sulking after it. And after that game, they said, we did the little things so bad to close that game. We got to get better at the little things. In Game 5, they were not better at the little things. Their turnovers were abysmal. I don't want to go too back into Game 5, but you know all the bad things they did in Game 5. Everything they did bad in Game 5 that was an important little thing, they flipped on its head in Game 6. And that was massive, given that they're dealing with an injury to their star player. Although we'll talk about that. You wouldn't even know it in this game. The biggest little thing, the whole series, the possession battle. I asked Andrew Nembhard about the Pacers offense at their practice media day before Game 6. He said, we cannot turn the ball over that much if we want to score enough. 10 turnovers for the Pacers in this game. That's a good number against not the Thunder. That's an awesome number against an OKC team that loves to force turnovers. That's what they do. That's what they try to win by doing. The Pacers took care of the ball, and their ball movement was crisp. 23 assists does not tell the story of their ball movement very well. They were moving it great and getting shots that they liked, even early in the game when they were missing shots. Everybody felt like the shots they were getting were great. Their offense was moving. And they forced 21 turnovers from the Thunder, 8 from SGA, 13 from the rest of the team. Brilliant defensive adjustment, if you want to call it that, by the Pacers, who did an awesome job of when SGA or J-Dub would get below the foul line, would send a second player for defense, get all over him, force that player to either make a pass or try to dribble to get more open. That extra dribble led to a lot of swipes or a lot of poor passes that the Pacers were more than able to swallow up and turn into huge plays, including the highlight of the finals, sans Tyrese Haliburton buzzer beater, obviously. The traditional highlight, I would say, of the finals, of the Tyrese Haliburton steal into no-look pass, no-look. A Tyrese Haliburton no-look is him looking right at the guy and then looking away to spin to Pascal Siakam, who posters a Thunder defender. Unbelievable play. Building explodes. Gainbridge Fieldhouse was incredible for this one. And it was in the middle of a second quarter run of just dominance for the Pacers that we'll talk about in a second. The turnover battle, the possession battle, a huge little thing that went terrible in Game 5 and went great for the Pacers today. Jalen Williams, a little thing that turned into a big thing in Game 5. 40 points. In this one, he was still kind of good. 16 points for Jalen Williams. 5 free throw attempts, 3 boards, 1 assist, 3 turnovers. They were great defending him on a team level, right? They were much better at that stuff I just said, getting at him when he got below the foul line. He was a minus 40. I kind of think he was just on the floor during bad times. Primarily the solo Shea minutes, for example, went much better, air quotes. He was still minus 17, but they were way better against the guy that's been killing them the whole series. And they were better on SGA too. SGA 21 points on 15 shots. Again, both those guys were like fine scoring, but a lot of turnovers. The ball movement wasn't there. They just weren't quite as threatening in this game, right? They still made 13 combined shots and the Pacers ran through them, right? That was a little thing J-Dub being good. That turned into a huge thing in Game 5 when he had 40 that they reduced back to being a little thing, and they did very well at containing him today. Rebounding was a problem last game, right? Adding on to the Pacers' possession battle struggles in this game, just 4 offensive rebounds for OKC. 2 from Hartenstein, 1 from Chet, 1 from Dylan Jones in garbage time. The Pacers had 11 offensive rebounds. 5 of them were from Siakam, who is just fantastic in this game. Myles Turner fought with force on the glass despite not making shots. He did just about everything else well. People are going to say he had 4 rebounds. That is true. Watch him in this game. There's a reason those other guys that we're talking about did not have good rebounding numbers. That's because Myles Turner did a good job fighting on the glass. They kept the Thunder away from that little thing becoming a big thing. They had 19 offensive rebounds in the last game. So many of these little things were problems for the Pacers last game. They all turned into advantages this time. I have more. I could keep going. I could keep reading through the story. One that almost was a problem that the Pacers immediately solved. Their slow start was a mess in Game 5. Absolute disaster. They were down 10 at the end of that first quarter. They lost that game by 11, right? Clearly it mattered. They were down 10-2 in this one. Timeout from Carlisle. And here they come. Actually, the timeout might have been like right before that. Regardless, they come out of that timeout. Siakam's on J-Dub now. They're changing their offensive process. Siakam with a quick 5 points. Nembhard hits a 3. Nembhard hits another 3. They're ahead. Off they go. Never trailed again. How about that for a quick start? They were up 10 in the first or 9, 10, I can't remember. In the first quarter, they were only up 3 after 1, but just dominance in the second quarter. The response to that slow start was massive, right? All the little things that were just awful for the Pacers in the last game amounted to big things in this game in their favor. That, to me, was the story of the game because 108's not exceptional for them. I've talked about this a million times in the playoffs, but prior to this game, they were undefeated when they scored over 110 and hadn't won a game when they were under 110 this whole playoffs. This is the first time. And that's a testament to some other stuff to get to. Shout out to Twitter user Alex. I can't remember your last name. I'm sorry. That reminded me of that stat after the game. They did it. They won a game under 108. But they weren't that exceptional on offense, but they nailed all these little things, and that kept OKC away. 91 points for the Thunder. And that is what the other story of this game is. Beyond all those little things was the Pacers defense being awesome. And a lot of this boils down to the possession battle stuff we talked about. The Pacers took 18 more shots in a relatively even free throw game. That matters so much in a 17-point win. But holding the Thunder to another relatively poor shooting night. By the way, the Pacers win without a magnet ball game, about average from 3. 8 for 30 from deep were the Thunder. 42% on all shots in this game. They had 2 starters under 25% from the field, 2 bench players at exactly 25%. Caruso missed all his shots. Their defense was way better, especially in the paint at making life harder on OKC. 40 points in the paint for the Thunder. The Pacers did not have a good paint game either. 30 points in the paint for the Pacers, but they did a good job keeping the Thunder, who are not as good of a shooting team as the Pacers, away from the paint where they couldn't get anything going. Excellent defense all night with the steals, 16 of them on those 20 turnovers, right? 21, right? The opposite of how the Pacers try turnover games go, where the Thunder don't have that many steals. The Pacers are just unforced erring their way through the game. The Pacers were stealing to stop the Thunder, so their defense was just awesome, right? In a way that it hasn't really been in this series. That second quarter, 30-9 run, their defense was huge. 35 points allowed for the Pacers in the second and third quarters combined. The Pacers had 36 in just the second quarter, right? They were just awesome on that end of the floor. Their best level they've hit defensively in the series. That was a huge part of this win. That's not a little thing. That's a huge thing. And it went great. They need to carry that into the next game. Obviously, role players at home, there's a thing about that. They might be better. We'll talk about that later. The other part of this was that second quarter stretch was just sublime. 32-31 Pacers. They take a timeout. J-Dub just scored, right? It looks like the little bit of a surge is coming from OKC. Timeout. Nesmith comes in during the break. Tony Bradley and Tyrese Haliburton come in, I believe. And then TJ McConnell immediately hits 2 shots, and the Pacers were just, here they went. Zooming. They go up 6 right away. So then they go up 8. OKC takes a timeout. That didn't help at all. The Thunder could not score. They got to 31 at 32-31 with like 9:30 to go. They were at 33 until, like the middle of the quarter, 5-minute marks when they hit 34, right? They could not score, and the Pacers kept scoring 50-35 with 3:39 to go over that 6-minute stretch, like an 18-4 run. I believe it came 30-11 by the end of the quarter, and that both of those numbers are awesome. In 9.5 minutes to score 30 points, magnificent, huge, significant, whatever words you want to use. to only allow 9, equally significant. The Pacers offense was at their best in that stretch. Their defense was at their best for this whole series all night. An absolutely terrific performance from the Pacers. Their best game of the series, and they force a Game 7. And we will talk about Game 7 in the third segment, but we have to talk about what Tyrese Haliburton just did and what it meant to the Pacers. Calf injury, SMAF injury, obviously still a big deal. Fighting through it, played great given the circumstances, was a leader by example, star doing star things. Can he do it again? We have so much more to talk about on this Game 6 coming on Locked On Pacers. Before we do any of that, let me talk to you guys about the wonderful people over at CarGurus. Shopping for a car shouldn't be exciting, not exhausting. Between the confusing prices and hidden fees, it can feel overwhelming. That's why many love using CarGurus. They help you cut through the noise and show you the best deals so you can shop with full confidence. With over 4 million listings, CarGurus has more new and used cars than any other major online marketplace in the U.S. They verify dealers, provide real price analysis, and give you the tools and data you need to make the right choice without second guessing yourself. If you need a deal you can trust, CarGurus makes it easy. You can compare vehicles side by side. They have price drop alerts and awesome features so you know exactly when the perfect car is available for your budget. In-depth vehicle details so you can get peace of mind. It's no wonder SimilarWeb estimated traffic data shows CarGurus is the #1 most visited car shopping site. Buy or sell your next car today with CarGurus.com at CarGurus.com. Go to CarGurus.com. Make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's CarGurus.com. CarGurus.com. Back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day. Your second listen, Locked On Thunder with Rylan Stiles. He's here somewhere recording. I can't find him. I usually am able to see where he's doing it. But tomorrow, him and I again for the final time of this series, crossing it over, talking about Game 6. I'm sure he'll be talking a lot about the Thunder's offense stalling in this game, the many hurdles they had in their way, and, of course, their chance to close this out at home in Loud City for Game 7. I will get there in the third segment. Tyrese Haliburton, man, look, he played bad in Game 5. He owned it. We all talked about it. He had to be better. He absolutely did. And he was just awesome given the circumstances that he had today. 5 for 12 is, 3 for 7 from deep is very good, right? No one's going to remember that he had 14 and 5 in this game. Well, people will look back at the stat sheet and go, oh, he only had 14 and 5. Like, that's a very okay game, blah, blah, blah. Like, that will, the lost to history part of this game is going to happen, right? And that is so unfair for what just happened. Maybe this is on me. Maybe this is on everyone else. Maybe this is on the chatter from the team and himself about what he's actually dealing with. The word MRI is always scary with the muscles. You just never know. But I don't think the expectation was that Tyrese Haliburton would play particularly awesome in this game, right? He's not going to be able to move as well. He's, on defense, how's this going to look? On offense, what's going to happen? And like there were moments in my notes where I thought, oh boy, right? One of the first Thunder baskets in that 10-2 start, Lou Dort being guarded by Haliburton runs up, sets a screen for J-Dub. J-Dub runs into the lane. Boop, he scores left hand. And I was like, oh, man, that's going to be a thing. And then there was a transition play not long after for the Pacers that Siakam scored on where Haliburton was like turned and it was kind of slow. And then I'll throw all those negatives away because the play after that transition play, I literally tweeted, he didn't change directions very fast. He was the low man in the corner. He rotated all the way across the paint, slows down a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander drive. Pascal Siakam blocks his layup. Then he throws a dart to the opposite corner for an Andrew Nembhard 3 that tied the game. There he is. There, fighting through a calf thing, right? And you can tell what he can and can't do compared to his usual level in terms of movement, shooting, where the cutting is there. But Dort didn't challenge him enough on that end of the floor. He fought as hard as he could on defense. He ran as hard as he could. And boy, oh boy, did he lead by example, right? If you are another player on the team, and I asked Ben Shepherd straight up about this, I'll talk about that later, like, you see what that guy's doing. In a situation that has been described to many, including me, as like, if this was a regular season game, maybe even like a round one game, would not be playing. I read someone say that if this was a regular season situation, he'd be out for weeks. To fight through that, step one, great, right? We talked to him pregame. I tweeted the quote. He also said, like, he talked to everyone about the whatever risk of long-term injury that could be coming and all this stuff. But before the game, Dustin Opieric and I were in the locker room. We wanted to talk to him before the game, right? And he actually said, I just had to hear that it was okay to play. That's all I needed to hear. I know the risks. I know everything that comes with it. Just had to hear it was okay. And he was going to play. And I've heard lots of people say, it's so risky. This is so scary. Like, I understand that. pretend that whatever you think the worst case scenario is, like if that is whatever, a loss next season, this is the finals. Like that is more important, right? It just is. It's a final situation where you're 2 games away from winning it. Like I think the choice, if he is okay to play, should be playing, and he did. And if you're someone else on the team and you see he is fighting through that and he's giving it his all and he's making plays and he got to his step back 3 early and he missed the first one he took, but I think he made the second one. Like, who are you to say that you're tired, that you're gassed, that it's whatever the situation is, that it's, you're bothered by anything? You can't. So beyond the box score, beyond anything that Tyrese Haliburton did in this game, that is the best thing he did. Suited up and played pretty well, because that got everybody going. When I asked Ben Shepherd about it, that's basically what he said. He said, yeah, it was very motivating to see him play like that. Ben Shepherd, we'll talk about him later, I suppose. The shot of the game to me, in terms of as a shot, not a dunk. Siakam's dunk was the best field goal of the game at the end of the third quarter. But like, that was certainly a thing that got the Pacers going and juiced up and feeling themselves, is that happened, and that he played that well on the stage. They're moving the ESPN desk around. It's very loud. I apologize for continuously looking over my shoulders. And that juiced up everybody. So pause already on whatever his stat line was. I'll say it again, but it doesn't matter for what I'm saying. That is the most important thing he did. Everybody else was ready to go, fired up, played well, was motivated. What excuse do you have to not be locked in, to die for every loose ball, to play like your season depends on it, even if you already had that, because it's an elimination game of the finals? Everybody followed suit, right? No effort questions in this game, no focus questions in this game. That helps when they played very well at all those little things I talked about in the first segment, to not questioning that stuff. But that, to me, is the leader of what made Tyrese Haliburton special in this game, is that he fought through it and played pretty well. And credit to the Pacers for this part. They dominated so much in even stretches without him on the floor. Obviously, he was plus 25. They lost the minutes without him, but they played good basketball at times with him not on the floor. In this game, their only really negative stretch that hurt the plus minuses was like garbage time. He only played 23 minutes in the game, right? I went to the bathroom after the third quarter, and there's a full line of people, and there's people at the urinals, and they're all talking about, oh, this is great. Tyrese Haliburton doesn't have to play in the fourth quarter. That is fan chatter in the bathroom before the fourth quarter of a finals game. And they were right. He didn't play in the fourth quarter. He didn't need to. He played the least minutes of any starter. And that's huge. He played less than Toppin. He played less than McConnell. Like, that is massive that they were able to do that for a guy that's nursing an injury, reduce the chance of him getting hurt again, anything like that. So awesome Pacers night that helps Haliburton. Awesome Haliburton night that helped everybody else. And of course, he played pretty well, right? Not an exceptional shooting percentage. 5 for 12 it's fine. But 14 points, 5 assists, just 1 turnover. Clearly was locked into a game plan, had the ball moving, was good enough getting into the paint at times in this game, was not afraid of contact. I thought that was very important for a guy nursing an important calf injury. Just an exceptional fight through injury kind of night for Haliburton. Obviously, it makes game 5 look worse, right? That he had the injury that night and did not play well at all and couldn't really get anything going. But as usual, if you listen to Locked On Pacers enough, this sounds like an excuse to you, but I don't believe it's an excuse. I believe it wholeheartedly. A lot of Tyrese Haliburton's worst games are just as much on the Pacers as a whole, as an ecosystem, as they are on him. They clearly had time to plan for a game where he's going to be not 100%, a game where he's going to be nursing a calf injury, and figure out the best way to use him, the best way to use everybody else to make sure. Andrew Nembhard's initiating sometimes, right? That happened pretty early in the game. It was like 10-8. Here he comes across half court. It happened exactly the lineup I predicted when talking with James Boyd. I thought we'd see McConnell, Nembhard together for much more often than we had throughout the playoffs. There goes that lineup. Looks just fine, right? There were very few lineups that looked like they were missing a beat offensively for the Pacers in this game, which is also notable because this is in my notes and it'll probably get buried from this game. Because of Haliburton's injury, they went to multiple chunks of the game with no Haliburton or Siakam on the floor, and it didn't kill them. They were fine in those stretches, and that is where the other part of the Haliburton conversation comes in. The other ball handlers who needed to be good were great, right? 4 assists, 1 turnover, 5 for 7 shooting from Andrew Nembhard, who was just amazing on defense in this game. Absolutely sensational defensive game from Andrew Nembhard. TJ McConnell, 6 for 12 after missing a couple of shots early and some free throws, was just an amazing isolation scorer again. 9 rebounds for TJ McConnell. What? 6 assists. He'll kill himself with the turnovers with 3, but 4 steals, 12, 9, and 6 for TJ McConnell in 24 minutes in a finals game. Pascal Siakam, 6 for 14, whatever. But 13 boards, 3 assists, only 1 turnover. Everybody who had to handle the ball and make plays that was not named Tyrese Haliburton had to pick up a little bit of that slack. And they were all great at it. They were great caretakers. Even if they weren't the most efficient outside of Nembhard, they were all very good. Mathurin, no turnovers too. His night was not particularly good outside of anything else, but everything that had to happen for this to be a successful fight through injury night for Tyrese Haliburton happened. He was able to play, which was my gut feeling all along. He played pretty well, for the standard that has been set for him the last couple days. They won by so much that he didn't have to play that much. All the other guys who had to step up in his absence were quite good. Different, goofier lineups with different ball handling combinations or no stars fit the bill. They defended well. They found ways to succeed around him. And that is a huge part of this win for the Pacers. We got to talk about their bench and then the stage that is coming on Sunday, a Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Forget everything I've said leading up to this and forget anything said in the future. That is the biggest game in Pacers franchise history. There's no doubt about it. So much more to get to closing out this Game 6 podcast on Locked On Pacers. But before we get to any of that, let's talk about WayFair. There's nothing like stepping into your own outdoor space and feeling like you've escaped to a personal oasis. If you are wanting to update your patio this season, WayFair has made it so easy to turn that space into something that feels like yours, comfortable, stylish, and ready for summer. WayFair has everything you need to level up your outdoor space. Conversation sets, outdoor bars, fire pits, hot tubs, gazebos, and even the perfect string lights, including ones I just got to set the vibe. It's like giving your backyard that resort feel without the resort price tag. So many things you can get on there. New outdoor dining sets, modern lounge chairs. I just got new cushions for my Adirondack chairs. Whatever your style is, clean and modern or anything else, you can filter to find exactly what you want for your space and budget. Free, fast, and totally hassle-free shipping, even with the bigger items. Now, whether you're hosting friends or just unwinding with a book, it feels like your own private retreat in your backyard. Don't wait. Make your outdoor space your dream oasis today with WayFair and enjoy it all summer long. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop a huge outdoor selection. That's WAYFAIR.com. WayFair, every style, every home. Back here on Locked On Pacers, thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day. 2 recommendations for your second listen. 1, Locked On Women's Basketball, because it's the first Fever Fridays. Yes, Locked On Women's Basketball has invited me to host every Friday to talk about the Fever. So if you're looking for a Fever podcast, there it is. Here it is, finally back on the map there. That's exciting. I'm looking forward to that. Or 2, any of the teams involved in any of the offseason scuttlebutt. The Lakers have new owners. Head to Locked On Lakers for your second listen to hear more about that. That's crazy. Pacers undefeated in the non-bus era of Lakers ownership. Okay, 1, I heard this stat asked by a reporter post-game. I have not verified this myself. They said the team that's won the bench points battle has won every game this series. Honestly, given how the series has gone, Toppin in Game 1, Caruso in Game 2, the whole bench with Mathurin in Game 3, Caruso in Game 4, Aaron Wiggins in Game 2 as well. Game 5, no bench was particularly impressive. DJ McConnell was awesome, but the Thunder bench was pretty good. And then tonight in Game 6 with Toppin and McConnell, I believe it, but I haven't looked it up. Regardless, the bench was very good again. Obi Toppin was just awesome. I can't believe I've barely talked about him to this point. 6 for 12. He made 4 threes. All of them were just huge momentum, get the crowd to blow up plays. 6 boards, 2 steals. Something about this stage, like Obi Toppin is just, I can't even describe this. I mean this in the most complimentary way possible. Don't interpret it any other way. He is the most steady guy ever in terms of like when you're around him, his personality is just so like inviting and bubbly. And you always wonder what those kind of guys with big moments like this will do. Like he's just playing so free and fun, even on this stage. And I think that's been kind of contagious and why he's been so consistent. Outside of Game 2, he's been very good every game, ups the pace, provides a size advantage. He's been so good in these finals. And it kind of happened, not exactly how I thought, but James Boyd and I talked about the center rotation. We wondered if Tony Bradley would play or not. And I said, maybe they just go with Toppin, Siakam. Hey, lights, look at that. Now I look great. But they would just go with Toppin, Siakam, Turner. They mostly did 6 minutes of Tony Bradley in this game, 2 rebounds, both on the offensive end, a putback with a free throw. Look at Tony Bradley go. They won his minutes by 7. He's playing well, exactly how they need him in this setting. Ben Shepherd with a massive late third quarter at the buzzer 3 to put the Pacers up 30. That was effectively the dagger. The building exploded. Huge shot. He said he felt like it was going in the second it left his hands. He played 20 minutes. They needed him more with Haliburton not playing, and he played all of garbage time. But man, that guy fights. He's one of their few guys they're willing to put on the stars. McConnell obviously was brilliant. Toppin was great. Mathurin, forgettable scoring night. He makes his only 2-point shot, missed all his threes. But alas, the bench was just sublime for the Pacers in this game. Ben Shepherd made 2 pull-up 2s again in the fourth quarter. Both home games they had in the series, he did that. So there it is. Another great bench game for the Pacers. They nail the little things. Tyrese Haliburton leads the way. Everything they needed to do around Tyrese Haliburton looked great. And they win Game 6 of the finals, something they did not do in 2000, setting up indisputably for, until they make the finals again, the biggest game in Pacers history coming up on Sunday. And I'm going to both tattle on myself because I'm about to not do this for the next 2 days, and everybody else. But here is what I truly think about this. And I even said this kind of leading into the series, and I kind of said this leading into this game, but now it's worth reiterating because it happened. Forget the past. Forget it, right? We could talk about all the things about these teams that make the situation what it is. This series looks a lot like OKC Denver in the second round, right? It's down to how close all the games were and the flow of the series. OKC won Game 7 in that series. This series also looks a lot like Pacers-Knicks from last year, with Pacers losing Game 5 pathetically in MSG, dominating Game 6, and they rolled the Knicks in Game 7 on the road to move on last year. Both teams have gone through a very similar series to this point, right? Both teams are very good response teams. Both teams feel like they're on top of the world when they win and feel very defeated when they lose. Both teams have never won a title. Both teams have figured out adjustments throughout the series. Caruso started the second half today. That might happen in Game 7, right? So much. All this stuff has gone on. All the scene setting is important. These two coaches are both brilliant. These two stars are both very unique, right? These two teams are both very unique. This is a new setting of deep rosters and faster pace and, like, forget all the adages you know about playoff basketball. This is the Thunder and the Pacers. Is it a new NBA? Is it an old NBA? And, like, this, all this stuff will be talked about in the next couple of days. And there'll be all these sneak pieces. And, like, to be clear, they will all be interesting. I will probably say many of these things and bring them up many times in the next couple of days. And I will mean them when I say them. But the overarching thing that I think now is, this is why winning this game was so important for the Pacers. It is about to be Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Game 7. Anything can happen. You'd be lying if you said no one on either team at any point in the series, when the Pacers were up 2-1 or 1-0, or when the Thunder came into this building today up 3-2, if at any point in the series, someone or someone's on both teams, it's crept into their head like, oh my gosh, we can win this. Or like, oh my gosh, this moment is enormous. Look at all this stuff going on. Look what all I have to do. It's the finals. I'm being interviewed by all these people, right? The moment is big, and it's felt bigger every game because that's how it works. And you hit a Game 7 of the finals, and the moment, that is it. That is the moment the NBA offers. The biggest stage, the biggest game, as big as it gets. And I say all that scene setting to say, I kind of don't think anything that's happened before matters. It is totally possible that either of these teams just fall completely flat in this game and embarrass themselves. And that will not take away anything from their special seasons. They've both, you get to Game 7 of the finals, you've had a special season, right? But you just never know how this moment, this stage, these teams, everything that's happened at this point, you just do not know how that is going to affect the mentality of everything. Right? Will it creep in anyone's head how they feel? Will it creep into anyone's head what's going on? Their legacy's at stake. There's a lot at stake for a lot of people. How is that going to feel? How is that going to change the game? And it will change the game. And that is why all the past stuff, you have to throw it out. You have to, because there is a new element added to this game that has not been in any game either of these teams have played in any of the stuff that we're going to cite, right? The response, the back-to-back losses, the home, the away, the Knicks series, the Thunder, Denver series, all this stuff. It all matters. Like they gain experience from these series. And yet this is so different. It is the NBA Finals, the series. And we talk endlessly. People love slop in the NBA, trades, free agency. You do all that to get to this moment and this game. You do all that for this. One chance, one game to win a championship. Probably the best odds percentage-wise chance the Pacers have ever had to win a championship is coming Sunday night. You could say that the Thunder had a higher percentage chance before the series started, but in terms of one game, one outcome scenarios, this is it. This is as big as it gets. You just do not know how that moment's going to matter. You don't know who's going to be the motivators. You don't know who's going to shrink. You don't know who's going to rise. It could be anyone. It could be anyone. And that is why my final bullet point on the slide that I've already said many times is forget the past. I don't think it matters. And it does matter in terms of it shaped who these people are and how this moment will shape them, but it doesn't matter in the basketball product. And the best team will win Game 7 in Oklahoma City and will be NBA champions. And if that is the Pacers, they will win their first championship in franchise history Sunday night. And if that is the Thunder, the Pacers will have been one game away. And I will be there to cover it all. I thank you all so much for listening every step of the way this season. This is the last weekday show, but we're going every day. Honestly, I'm just going to go every day through Summer League because the offseason is going to start right after these finals are done. So will just never stop, apparently. But that's the way life goes when the Pacers are doing great things. They're on the doorstep of a title. One game Sunday night. Tomorrow, you'll get Rylan Stiles of Locked on Thunder and me talking about this game, Game 6 that just happened, what the Pacers do better, why did the Thunder shrink so much, what's going to take in Game 7. Does he agree with me about the forget the past mindset? Saturday night into Sunday, I'll find a guest. I need to find someone who wants to talk about Game 7, who I think is the perfect guest for the moment. We'll see. We'll see who it is. And then, of course, Sunday night, just me talking about whatever happens in the game. Maybe Derek Kramer will join me. He's been the closer for all these games, but I think it's going to be so chaotic that night that we'll see. We will see what happens. That is where the Pacers are. They've earned this stage. They've earned this moment, and they will get it Sunday. Thank you all so much for listening today. You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Tony Arias. This podcast is on Twitter at Locked on Pacers and on Instagram under the same handle. Back tomorrow talking more Game 6 with Locked on Thunder host Rylan Stiles. Till then, everybody have a wonderful day.